Hey everybody, Aaron Rift here from NoDQ.com. This is the NoDQ Top 5 series. Today I will be discussing my top 5 villains of the Golden Era of WWE from 1984 to 1992. Coming in at number 5 is Jake the Snake Roberts. Now, Jake Roberts was a very popular babyface in WWE for most of his run, but I actually thought he was better as a heel. He had a solid run during his first year in WWE as a heel, but really the last year, or should I say maybe 8 months of his career in WWE, he was absolutely fantastic as a heel in late 1991 when he crashed Randy Savage and Elizabeth's wedding. That's what started the heel turn. And then he locked the Ultimate Warrior in a room with snakes. I mean, how despicable is that? I mean, it's great. Very creative stuff. And then what Jake Roberts would do, the whole Trust Me moniker. And then to top it off, Jake Roberts actually got a King Cobra and had it bite the arm of Randy Savage. That was one of my all-time favorite angles, and that led to Randy Savage coming out of retirement to face Jake Roberts at the Tuesday in Texas pay-per-view. And that's when we saw Jake Roberts, just when you thought he could not get any lower, he managed to do so by slapping Randy Savage's manager, Elizabeth. Jake Roberts was just fantastic as this dark, twisted heel. One of the best storylines in WWE history, in my opinion, that Randy Savage-Jake Roberts feud. And I feel bad that we did not get to see more of Jake Roberts in that role. He did start a feud with The Undertaker after that and then lost at WrestleMania 8. And that was his last match as a heel, his last match in WWE for almost 4 years. I definitely would have liked to have seen more of that character, but for the time that he had, he was brilliant. Next up at number 4, Mr. Perfect. The name itself just makes for such a great heel character. Mr. Perfect, a guy that thinks he can do no wrong. Great recipe for a awesome villain character. Mr. Perfect was introduced with all these different vignettes, very creative stuff. He would play basketball, he would play all sorts of different sports, and he showed off to the world that he could do anything, but in the ring, he was absolutely perfect. He came out there with Bobby the Brain Heenan as his manager. The two of them played off each other so well. Mr. Perfect with the whole demeanor, with his towel, spitting the gum and swatting it, catching the towel, and just that grin. Mr. Perfect, he played the role perfectly. He would go on to win the Intercontinental Championship and have a really strong run in WWE. He did end up putting over Bret Hart at SummerSlam 91, which really launched Bret Hart's career as a singles competitor. And then he would go on to do commentary, and he did a great job at that as well, putting over the heels and just being the executive consultant to Ric Flair. Everything Mr. Perfect did, in my opinion, was perfect. Next up at number 3 is Ravishing Rick Rude. Rick Rude was everything you wanted to be. He had nice hair, nice long curly hair. He had that 80s mustache, which was so iconic. And he had the abs, man. I mean, we were all jealous of Rick Rude. All of us guys wanted to be Rick Rude. He was the guy that all the men wanted to be and all the women wanted to be with. Rick Rude would come out there. He would be so arrogant, so over the top. He had really good taste when it came to his attire. He would always come out with the spray painted designs, which I really liked. And just him gyrating and cutting a promo, ripping into the fans, calling them sweat hogs. Rick Rude could always get heat. He was a master at getting the crowd to hate his guts. And you wanted to see the babyface, the good guy, beat him up so badly. You wanted to see Rick Rude get his face punched in. Rick Rude had some very memorable feuds. He brought out the best in the good guy characters, and that's what really does make a great heel, when you can make the fans want to see that good guy character pull out all the stops and take out the bad guy. Jake Roberts and Rick Rude had a great feud. Ultimate Warrior and Rick Rude. Rick Rude brought out the best in anybody he faced, and he had a a great finisher as well, the Rude Awakening. So Rick Rude, definitely one of the most iconic WWE villains of the 1980s and early 90s. Coming in at number 2 is the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. What an excellent character for 1980s WWE, and he's really the epitome of what a villain should be. You just despise everything that he stands for. $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, his motto, everybody has a price. I love the vignettes that were used to introduce the character. He would go to a public pool with kids and shut down the entire pool with his money so he could have the pool all to himself. And then that classic segment with the kid in the basketball, he would give the kid $100 if he bounced the ball 15 times. And then on the 14th try, the $1 Million Man would kick the ball and not give the fan the money. Great stuff. And then to top it all off, Ted DiBiase would make his bid to buy the WWE Championship. And then at the main event in February 1988, February 5th, you had Andre the Giant working with Ted DiBiase, and the big plot went into effect with the twin referees. Hulk Hogan was screwed out of the championship. Andre the Giant won the title because of the twin referees and Hogan being counted down even though he got his shoulder up by the heel twin referee. After the match, Andre the Giant forfeited the championship to Ted DiBiase, and of course you cannot win the title by forfeit, so Jack Tunney made the title vacant. But for Ted DiBiase to do that, what a classic storyline. One of my all-time favorite wrestling storylines, and of course WWE making great use out of the Hebner twins, Earl and Dave Hebner. DiBiase, he was frustrated, so what did he do? He introduced his own $1 Million Championship and walked around with that title that he did not earn. Everything about Ted DiBiase, it was such a fantastic character, and the music too. Hats off to the WWE music team for coming up with that one also. That music was perfect for his character as well. And finally, my number 1 choice for the greatest villain of the golden era of WWE, Hot Rod, Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper was a great babyface. Everybody loved the guy, but you love to hate him even more. You look at the beginning of WWE's rise in popularity. Roddy Piper came in right at the time WWE was going national. And to me, he was one of the key players, along with Hulk Hogan, announcers like Mean Gene Okerlund, Jesse Ventura. Roddy Piper as a heel was that foe that Hulk Hogan needed. And Roddy Piper even said this years later. Hulk Hogan, they loved him so much. Was it because they really loved Hogan, or they just hated Piper so much that they wanted to see Hogan beat him up? I think it was a little bit of both. I think Roddy Piper definitely was the yin to Hulk Hogan's yang. You had Roddy Piper, that classic Piper's Pit segment where Roddy Piper would demean all the babyface good guys, insult them, make fun of them, and then of course that classic segment where he hit Jimmy Snuka with the coconut. Roddy Piper would go on to have his own stable, I guess you could say. He managed Bob Orton for a while. He managed Paul Orndorff. And then you had WrestleMania 1. You had the whole rock and wrestling connection. Roddy Piper smashing Cyndi Lauper's gold record over the head of Captain Lou Albano, which just really set the course for WrestleMania. And you had the tag team match. You had Paul Orndorff teaming up with Piper against Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. You had all the big celebrities there. You had Muhammad Ali. It was the event that put WWE on the map and made them the mainstream company. They were no longer regional, they were mainstream, and I really attribute that to Roddy Piper being such a despised villain that people wanted to spend their hard-earned money to see Hulk Hogan take out Roddy Piper. And then, of course, WrestleMania 2 with Mr. T, Roddy Piper pushing the envelope, whipping Mr. T to build up that WrestleMania 2 match. So Roddy Piper, when he was a heel, He could just trash talk like nobody else. Few had that ability like Roddy Piper to stir up a crowd, so he has to be my favorite of that Golden Era period, and no doubt an influence for many generations to come. Alright, so that will do it for my top 5 villains of the Golden Era of WWE. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give this video a like, take that subscribe button and give it a rude awakening, and just spread the word. Tell a friend, and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest wrestling news and rumors. Thanks for watching.